Well, good Sunday evening, everyone. Welcome to Bowling with the Pfeff, a platform for you to share your unique bowling story live on YouTube. We do it every week. It's been a blast. It'll continue to be a blast because I say so. I hope you think so too. If you're interested in finding out more about the show, want to be on, want to suggest a great guest that you think has a unique bowling story, hit me up. You can find me on Facebook. We have a public group called Bowling with the Pfeff. Or you can email me, bowlingwiththepfeff@yahoo.com, and we will be sure to get you the information you need. And hopefully we can chat a little bowling too, because that's one of my favorite things to do. And I hope it is yours as well. Typically, we do these shows on the weekdays, and today is kind of a special one for me anyway. I've talked on this show about how I'm a former local TV professional. I did that for 16 years. And when I started my career, I started in a station in Wausau, Wisconsin, town of about, back then I think it was 38,000, middle of the state, north central part of the state. And I wanted to continue bowling. So I knew two people in town, and one of them was a teammate from my collegiate team at UW Eau Claire. So we kept in contact, ended up on the same team. And my guest today was also on that team, and he continues to be a teammate of mine to this day, 17 years later. This is Jim Lucas from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. It's been 17 years. Can you believe that?
I think it's actually been longer.
Oh, man.
Because
math is getting fuzzy.
I'm trying to... No, yeah, you're about right. 17 years.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Because you were there when I rolled my 300 at Days, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And Emerson that was in 02.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts us 19 years.
Wow.
Well, congratulations, Pfeff, on putting up for that long. I appreciate it.
It hasn't been easy at times.
I believe it. We did have some time off there. It was like we broke up for a little while in the middle.
Yeah, both of us quit bowling. And then we got back into it, and like riding a bike, right?
And you moved like 84 times. I kept following you around, and when I would get there, then you would move. It was weird.
It wasn't just by coincidence, you know.
Trust me, I know. I know.
Yeah. So we're here to talk about your bowling story, of course, but I want to start out by talking about your salsa story. Because back when we were bowling at Days, your wife would come watch bowling. She doesn't come anymore to the bowling center.
No, liked me back.
Yeah. But when she did, I remember back in those days, she'd always have a little Tupperware container of her salsa, and she'd pass it along to friends and things like that. I never got one, but whatever. Different story for different day. But fast forward all this time, 18, 19 years, and you guys create Chip Magnet Salsa.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Tell me about that. How did that all happen?
Yeah, back in Wausau, you have to go back to about 2002 time, and she and her mom were making salsa at that time. They tried selling it at the mall. It was a great holiday thing. They went through the Christmas season with it, and they did okay, but it just never really did anything after that. And then our son was born. He's our oldest son, and he is 19 now. So it got put on the back burner. And then when we moved to Eau Claire, we were trying to figure out ways that we could make a little bit of additional income, because I was working in the car business, which I did in Wausau, then moved to Eau Claire doing. And then we were thinking about opening a daycare. We were thinking about a bunch of different things that we could do for some extra money just for around the house. My wife says it was for yarn money because she just wanted to buy yarn to knit. And she woke up Thanksgiving Day in 2010 and said, you know what, I'm going to make my salsa and sell it at the farmer's market. And me, being the supportive husband I am, said, that's probably the dumbest idea you've ever had. No, I don't remember. That's what she says I said. I don't remember saying it, but I did ask her, did you think this through? I mean, we ate at that time. So if we go back to 2002, we've eaten organic and or non-GMO since then for 19 years before it was really mainstream like it is now. And I just looked at her. I said, honey, just your salsa is great. I love it, but nobody's going to pay the kind of money that you have to get for that salsa at a farmer's market being organic and non-GMO. Well, she was mad at me for the remainder of that year. And then the beginning of the next year. And she took about $125 out of our joint checking account in June of 2011 and went and bought the stuff and made 24 jars of salsa and went to a farmer's market at CBTC here in Eau Claire that was in their parking lot on, I think it was on a Tuesday, if I remember right. And she took her salsa there and sold all but 7 of the jars. And I took those up to my work when I was working at Ken Vance, and the guys there bought the other 7 jars. So she sold out, put all that money in, built a customer base, started doing that farmer's market, the La Crosse farmer's market, Phoenix Park on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, Festival Foods on Sundays. Our second season in the farmer's market, we were doing 15 markets a week.
Okay.
So
that's a lot.
Built that.
Yeah. So you are kind of, gaining momentum, and eventually you get involved with it. It's not just her making the salsa and selling it. You are, like I said, kind of the salsa king to her salsa queen. Was there a point where you said, okay, this is working well enough that I'm going in full bore?
It happened a couple times. Well, when we were doing markets, I was still working. We still had to have an income providing for the family, the insurance, all those normal things that go along with life.
Yeah.
And I was pulling all-nighters, putting labels on jars, finishing batches that she couldn't finish before she went to bed. And at that time, we still had a young child that still had to have mom to be fed. And she was getting pulled away. So I was helping out, trying to just be supportive and taking her to markets, setting up markets, then going to work, and then leaving work, going to the market. And then in 13, a couple scenarios happened, which caused us, with the farmer's market in Eau Claire, they kicked us out. We were just selling too much. There was some politics that went into it, and they kicked us out of the farmer's market. So we said, well, let's get stores. So we started. I would go and get stores on my day off and try to add a couple stores here and there. And, I had gotten to, I think 11 or 13 stores. And I said, I really need to build this. So I left the car business, about mid-year in 13, to just pursue stores. So then by the end of that year, by the end of 13, I had gotten us into 96 stores throughout Wisconsin and the beginning part of Minnesota there. And we had, I think, 4 stores in Illinois, and we were growing. But I went back to the car business for January through April because of a specialty that I had in the car business. I went back, did that. And on April 15th, 2014, I left the car business and have not been back. Now, I look at us, we've built the company where we are now. That was when I decided I could go full time. It could replace my income in the car business. It hadn't yet, but I knew it could. So I wanted to give it my full attention to build it up. And now we're in a little over 4,800 stores in 38 states. And we went international this past week with Canadian distribution.
Holy cow. Yeah. And, people are probably thinking, what does this have to do with bowling? Well, I mean, it is, kind of hand in hand sometimes, right? Sometimes you bring it over to the bowling center, if I can get this.
I really do. God,
queued up. And you remember that?
Yep, I do.
Yeah. That was Thanksgiving of I think 19 or 20. And, serving it up a little bit for the bowlers there.
Do you happen to have one of me throwing the ball?
No, I don't.
Not right-handed?
I don't. I wish I did.
I wish you did too.
Yeah, you're kind of foreshadowing here, so we'll get to all that.
You are.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you got the logo tattooed on your arm, and when people ask, you give it one of those and say, "Look, that's what I do." Is there kind of a threshold there where you said, "Okay, maybe I won't get it tattooed on because we're close, but we're not quite there. But if we hit this point, then I'll take the plunge."
It's funny. I avoided my wife tattooed it on her a lot sooner than I did.
Yeah.
I wish I had that picture of you with my name tattooed on your arm as well, because I would have put that one up on the screen.
Sure.
But she got it tattooed before I did, and the ups and downs in business, if anybody's ever been in business for themselves, it's like a roller coaster. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. It's just not. And I was like, God, what if I put it on and then it doesn't work and we're out of business, and I got this thing on here reminding me of what a failure I am. And, leave it to my wife. She's like, well, why don't you put it on your arm so you make sure you don't fail? I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, there she goes being smart again.
Right.
So, yeah, there was a point that it took a little bit of courage to really, brand it. We own the trademark, so that makes it okay.
Okay. Yeah. And the website is chipmagnetsalsa.com. You guys sell in grocery stores, and this isn't, like you said, it's all over the country. It's international. So if you're watching this in another state, you can get this stuff. It's not just a fly-by-night local thing.
Yeah, chances are it's at a retailer near you, or if you ask it, they probably have distribution at the store through one of our distributors that they can bring it in.
Yeah.
We have 2 main national distributors, and we have a couple regional distributors in different markets, like one that handles Wisconsin, Northern Illinois, one that handles Northern Wisconsin and the beginning parts of Minnesota. Then we also have one down in like the Tennessee market, one up in Michigan. So there's a good chance you're going to be able to find it somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I asked our will-be teammate, both past and future teammate Mike Phillips, about it. He said he won't eat anything else. Best damn salsa around. Not only because he's a friend, because that would be the easy way out, but because it is really good. So, that must feel pretty good, right?
I don't believe anything Mike says.
Oh, he's got more to say later on.
I bet he does. He told me I was a good bowler once.
He told you what?
He told me I was a good bowler once.
Well, you were. You were.
I was.
Your bowling story starts a little southeast of here in Racine. Tell us how you got started in the sport.
Okay. I was looking for a job. I was working at McDonald's and I needed a job, and a buddy of mine was a mechanic pin chaser at Castle Lanes. Phil Onco, Mr. Bowler himself. Love that guy. I went in, I applied. I couldn't get a job as a mechanic, but I got a job in the kitchen there. I was cooking bar food for everybody in the bar and chasing pins in my spare time. Then I got a buddy of mine, Barry Wunsch. I got him a job in the kitchen as well, so that I could get out of the kitchen and become a mechanic. So I started working on the machines when I was 17. And that was also the first time I ever picked up a bowling ball. I had never bowled, never anything. So I bought a brown Grizz from Jim Ferguson, and I had it drilled for myself, and I threw 2-fingered. I didn't even try putting my thumb in. I threw 2-fingered for my first probably 2-3 seasons before I put my thumb in the ball. So yeah, I started out down there working for Phil and chasing pins, enjoying Friday night men's league in Racine, because that's where the party was.
Yeah. And so you were kind of a late bloomer, relatively speaking, and didn't really do anything in a junior program then, right?
Nothing. No, I didn't bowl young. I jumped into a men's league at 17 years old and was averaging 140 within a week of starting, and just went from there. And when I put my thumb in the ball, I got even better.
Yeah. Was it that success that kind of attracted you to it, or was it something else?
I think more than anything, it was all the people in the league. Bowling in Racine is it's not just a pastime. It's everybody in Racine bowls. And we had, at that time, we had Castle Lanes, we had Paradise West, we had Paradise North, we had Elmwood, and we had all these houses that on Friday and Saturday nights in men's leagues were just packed. I bowled Castle on Friday nights. I bowled Elmwood on Saturday nights. And it was, you knew everybody that was there. You drank with everybody, even if you weren't old enough at that time. And, you know, I had people that I worked with that were going on Bowling with the Stars up in Milwaukee, you know. So I was seeing all this and I was like, and plus Lenny Borsch, come on. I mean, the guy was right there. I could talk to him and he would, everybody was a friend when you were at the bowling alley.
Yeah. Do you have memories of Lenny from back then, of maybe a great performance he had or anything he said to you or anything like that?
Not so much of what he said as more of selling me my first pair of Zumbas and drilling my first, I don't even remember what my first new ball was. Can you believe that? But Lenny drilled it, set it all up, and the only thing he ever told me was slow down on my approach.
Boy, that's great advice, though. That's half the game right there.
What'd you tell me last week on my approach?
Slow it down.
Listen to anybody, man.
So you start out in Racine, and like you said, you know, there's a great bowling community down there. Eventually you move up to Wausau, and what precipitated that?
I met my wife. So imagine it. Wausau, 1998. That was my Golden Girls shout out right there. Imagine it, Sicily, 1922. Right. No, I had just gotten the internet. I was on AOL, and I had just gone through a divorce at that time. Was on Love at AOL and met my wife and moved up to Wausau about 3.5 months after we met in 98. We met in August and I moved here in November, and been with her ever since.
I love how you say here like you're still there.
I'm still with her.
No, you said you moved here.
Yeah, but put as here as anywhere that I am that I'm still with her.
That's a good point.
I don't care where I am as long as I got my rock.
Wow, that's awesome. So you obviously wanted to keep bowling, and I imagine you kind of search for a league, right?
It was difficult in Wausau because at first, when I first moved up there, I was working in gas stations at that time, and I was managing stores, and I had signed a non-compete, so I couldn't work at gas stations, and I was working for minimum wage, changing oil in cars. And the first season, I didn't even get to bowl because I just didn't have the money for league fees. So then the next year, I found a league at Days Bowladome. I walked in. I was going past on my way home from work, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stop in and see if they have a league coming up. And they just threw me on a team. I went in. He's like, yep, we'll find a team for you. And, you know, that's, like they say, the rest is history, because I got paired up with Bloom, Bob Ruther, Pat, and Chad Radickle. And you came after. We had a guy before you that ripped his bicep on a throw.
Oh.
And it was when he threw and came back, his bicep was like just all the way up against his shoulder. It was like, what? And
that was a great flex right there where you showed the logo again.
But I don't remember this guy's name. He was with us like 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then, you know, shortly after that, here comes Andrew Pfeffer. Well, I think you might have been a season later because he couldn't bowl. Yeah. And you were just some guy that Bloom went to college with. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, he's going to be in town on Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he going to come to the league?
Yes, he is.
Wow. That's a great surprise. I love it when guests break news like that. That's incredible.
It is.
So I hit him up, of course, and I asked him, how this all happened. And he said, yeah, he was just, he needed a team, and at random, those two, you and Bloom get on the same team. I get in there and I said, okay, so was he like back then? Because obviously I didn't know you when you two met. So he said that you are just like you are now, very eccentric, and just as a personality, you can't help but like. We quickly became friends. He's just such a fun guy.
I don't think I'm eccentric.
Give me those tears, Jim.
I know. I just wow, that was so. Geez, to know a guy 19 years and have him still like you, that's a bonus. I mean, wow. Especially a guy I bowled with like that. Thanks, Bloom. I appreciate you.
Wow. Yeah, I'm still mind blown that he's going to be in town. That's awesome. You got me thrown for a loop here. So, what do you remember, I guess, about that league and what it was like maybe in comparison to the ones that you had been involved in Racine?
Dean Day, who is another person you should get on this show, first of all, as a proprietor. Dean, if you're in a league with Dean, it's going to be fun. The houses were a lot smaller in Wausau. We were, what is days, 24?
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah. And it was like 36 at Castle. And so the houses were smaller. There were less people. And it wasn't quite the Friday night party in Wausau like it was in Racine. In Racine, it was more like everybody is bowling on Tuesday at either at Days or out at Weston Lanes. Like I bowled Tuesday at Weston Lanes, Wednesday at Days, and filled in somewhere else. But it was a weeknight thing that people would go. They would, I limit myself to 3 drinks, like I always do, because you bowl 3 games, you have 3 drinks, and you go home. It's not like a Friday night party anymore when you have 3 kids at home and grandkids now.
You have 3 drinks. Tell them how many I have.
0.
There you go.
0. You don't even drink water.
No, not usually. Sometimes I do. But.
And this is a guy too. Hey, anybody that doesn't know this, if you go bowling with Pfeff, he will not go to the bathroom during league play. He will wait to the end. Oh man, I've been holding this since the second game. Yeah.
All my deepest, darkest secrets revealed.
And he will not walk anywhere without either taking his shoe off or putting his booty on. And the booty is only in certain situations. Right. You get winter and he takes his shoes completely off.
Yep. Put on the street shoes.
Yep.
Yeah. See, I was cognizant of all this hygiene stuff before the pandemic.
Yeah, you were.
Some people would call me a germaphobe, and that's okay.
Oh, you that actually.
Yeah.
Don't you have a thing you can scroll on the bottom there? Mike Phillips, Andrew is a germaphobe.
Oh man, I should make one. But the only one I have prepared is this one where, if anyone has questions for you or for me, they can toss them up in the chat, which is live right now.
Yeah, scrolling across. Yeah. Is there?
I'm sorry?
Is there anybody watching right now?
Yeah, of course there are people watching. Jan.
All right.
I've got one whole person right now, live person watching.
It's probably Ryan Bloom.
And there's going to be more on the replay. Trust me. Yeah. People love this stuff. So what do you remember about that first 300 you had? And I'm saying first 300. I know you've got one, but, it's going to be one of many. You'll see. No?
Open bowling, I've got quite a few. Don't we all? Sure. But it gets to that league time. What do I remember about that one? I remember my son being just born in January of that year in his car seat, sitting on in the settee area, in his car seat, sleeping as I was rolling. We are on lanes 1 and 2. Now I'm going all the way back to 2002, and I remember this. That's how bad it is. Mm-hmm. We were on lanes 1 and 2, and I crossed over on the first and second ball in the 10th. Went Brooklyn, got them both, buried the pocket on the last one. That's like my 299. I buried the pocket, but I left an 8-pin. You remember those things.
Sure.
So and I remember you were there, Bloom was there, and you had not had one yet. Mm-hmm. Ryan had not had one yet. Yep. And both of you had been bowling like 3 times the amount of time I had.
Well, not there anyway. I had one back in college, but it had been years.
Yeah. And Ryan hadn't had one yet.
Right.
And it frustrates. And you still give me guff about this to this day, but I didn't even have a mark.
About everything I can think of, I give you guff about.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have a mark. I was a spot bowler. I just threw it out there and I just knew it was going to come back.
Mhm.
I had a lot of revs and good arm speed. That was about it.
Yeah. And there was tons of back end in that house.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
It rocked that.
That I'll always remember.
That was my blue zone.
Yeah. Yeah. Zone X, right?
Yep.
Because I threw one too. I had a 300 on, I ended up with a 300 on 1 and 2 with that Zone X. That was the combo right there.
That was it.
Yeah. So like you said, you moved around a little bit. You end up, going to, I think you said lacrosse and then back and over to Eau Claire, which is kind of where you, I guess for lack of a better term, planted some roots, right?
Yeah, well, we did. Yeah. Built a business and, have raised our 3 youngest kids here that their friends are here. Our friends are here. Yeah. We've really rooted down in Eau Claire and we love it here. So
yeah. What's that?
I don't see us ever leaving.
Awesome. Yeah. You did some bowling, Falls Bowl for a while, and then you stopped for 5 years. How come?
The business. I was bowling at Falls. A neighbor of mine, when we first moved to town, lived right across the street. Brian Tiley, another you should get on the show. And I don't know why, but we were sitting there. It was my first weekend in town, and he's like, "Do you bowl?" Yeah. What a random question to ask somebody, but yeah, I do. Are you any good? No, I'm a 2-0 something. I mean, I'm no Andy Pfeffer by any stretch.
Oh, come on now.
You always were in the 16 range or 210 to 220 ballpark when we were younger.
Only when I had a really going good and a lot of room to hit.
But he asked if I bowled. I was like, sure. So went up to Falls, which is a smaller house, so I went from Racine to Wausau, which was smaller, to Chippewa Falls, which was a lot smaller. And I was like, the size of the house is really indicative of the size of the sport in that community in my mind.
Yeah.
So, they had that in Ojibwa, but I stuck to Falls. I rolled a 299 at Falls. I got the 11 in a row plaque. Yay. But I had fun there, but it was a little bit different because I had gone when I worked at Castle. So I'm going to go all the way back to 90, 95, 96. They had installed the HPL 9000s at that time. So we went synthetic back in the mid 90s.
Sure.
And then I moved up to Wausau, and Days was synthetic by that point too, wasn't it?
No, it was wood while I was there.
Okay. So it was wood. And then the shot was even harder in Chippewa. I'm just trying to figure. It was more difficult. I don't know if it was just the pattern, if it's the house, if it was me just not being able to get used to it. But my ball was all over the place there. I had trouble keeping it on the right side so I ended up switching balls, went with a swarm or something like that I didn't get quite the movement out of. I just had a little too much finger for that house. There's your segue, Pfeff.
No, we're not there yet. We're not.
All right. So, yep. And then we started the company. So I was bowling plus trying to work the business. And then it got to the point that I was working the business and splitting 3 hours out of that night, plus, 20 to 25 minutes driving there, 20 to 25 minutes driving back. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a season off. It was only meant to be 1 year. And, before you know it, it's, 5 years go by and you haven't picked up a ball and you're like, oh, I'm going to go bowl in a summer league. Yeah. We know how that went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
190 average coming back.
No. But I mean, we were there. We bowled with a third guy, and we start out, and Sam Lofquist was there, and he was bowling against you, and he was really the best in the league at that time, and not by a little bit either.
Yeah.
And he remembers, the first time that he saw you.
Did I shoot that week?
What's that?
Did I shoot 700 that first week?
You shot 750.
Oh shit. Okay.
And he said he remembered you squeaking your shoes like it was a basketball game, but that you still bowled the 750 to his 740.
It's because I had such a fast approach.
Mhm.
It was always that. And Sam's still good.
Oh yeah.
Me, not so much.
And he did mention, he said that was 2 weeks before your saucy accident.
Yeah, because I think we got through what three weeks of that season.
Mhm. Yeah, and you were rolling along really well.
Yeah, 220.
Mm-hmm.
My highest average that I had carried. I was just rocking it, having not even really a down week in there. My down week was probably 680 or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, we were rolling. We could have won that league that year.
Sure.
All the
And then week 4 comes along, or week 5, I can't remember which it was. And it's league night, and I'm scrolling through Facebook, and your wife has posted a picture.
Did you find it?
Of your finger. No, I didn't find it. And,
You should have posted.
I tried. I went way back, and the thing, I don't know if she took it off or if I just couldn't find it, but it was like your finger, but it wasn't on your hand. Yeah. Care to elaborate?
June 13th,
2019.
2019. June 13th, 2019. Was that a league night?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't show up to league that night. I was cleaning the machinery at work after a day of production, and the pump that we have a pump that takes the salsa from the kettle and then puts it up into a hopper, and then the hopper gravity fed puts it into the jar and it goes down. And I was cleaning, and there was a tomato inside of the pump as I was running the sanitizer water through there, and I was like, oh man. So I just put my finger in to get the tomato out of the pump and thought it was a pinch. And I grabbed my hand and I was like, and I shook my hand and put it inside of my hand, and I was going over to the sink. First thing that goes through my mind is, I hope I don't need stitches, because of course that's the first thing you think of. And I turn on the cold water and I'm running it under, and I look at my finger and it's gone. The tip is gone. I see the bone, nice clean cut, and I'm running it under the water. And one of my employees looks at me and says, should I call the missus? I said, no, you should take me to the bleep in hospital. So then we get to the hospital. I wrap it up, and one of my other employees, because I didn't know where the finger was at this point. So somebody else picked it up off the floor because the pump had spit it right back out. Picked it up off the floor, put it into a bag of ravioli because it was the only thing we had frozen, and brought it up to the hospital. So needless to say, they didn't reattach it.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean,
no bowling.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard the story before, but it's, it must get you every time. I mean, to think back on that.
Split second. Yeah. If I get that 1 second back, not even a second, it was just, but you know what? I'd rather me than one of my employees, or my son, who is one of my employees. So there is a little bit of post-traumatic stress that goes with it too, because even as small as it is, I'm missing a part of my body. It's weird.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of getting used to.
Sure. So obviously I'm thinking, okay, he's not coming to league tonight. And you ended up being out for what, maybe
3 weeks. I think it was 3. Because I came up there that night, didn't I? After the hospital?
I don't know if it was that night or the week after, but
or
you were there.
I don't know, but yeah. I was out for 3 weeks. And had to figure out a way to come back. And it wasn't happening with that finger gone.
Right. So you do come back, and you end up bowling left-handed. You like that shot?
I do. Where is that?
That's Wagner's.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't the week you came back or anything like that, but it's a good, aid for this story, right?
Yes, it is good.
Yeah. So you came back and started bowling left-handed. What does one have to do to make that switch? Because I'll tell you what, if I tried to make that switch, A, I would be horrible at it, and B, it would take forever for me to, figure out the mechanics and all that stuff.
It was difficult. I never had bowling instruction when I was younger. I picked up a ball, started throwing it 2-fingered. So I thought, well, I'll just pick up a ball. Thought maybe I'd throw it 2-fingered, but I've been bowling with my thumb in the hole. So I got a ball. I bought a new ball. What is my matchup? I had bought that, thrown 3 weeks with it. And so I took it in, and at that time, they were still over at Bullwinkle's. So I just had it plugged and drilled for left-handed, and took a little bit of instruction and, started throwing, standing on the end of the line, just throwing a ball down, just trying to get a motion with the hand. I had to switch over my approach. Originally, I went with my same approach that I had right-handed, but I pushed off with my opposite foot. So it was a very fast approach still, without the arm speed, without the hand, without really any of the other mechanics. And then I sat and watched Sam. That was my biggest learning, was watching Sam's approach, which he has a very short approach. He goes, from the middle there like you do, where I was all the way at the end. So I shortened my approach. I watched his timing. Tried to emulate that. I didn't have quite the backswing that he has, because I just didn't have the power nor the hand power to hold the ball. So it was a progression. And then slowly I was able to start moving my feet back and get a full approach with a good slide. I'm still a little off balance now, considering we had all of 2020 off, but it was a little bit difficult to really flip everything about bowling in your mind, so you're doing it as a mirror opposite and trying to make it work. That's what it was.
Sam told me that shortly after you made that switch, you struggled a little bit, but he could tell you were excited to relearn as much as you could, because even though the running joke of lefties have to do nothing to score, you did realize you have to make a shot, to make that work. Right there?
Sam is right. I did at the beginning really have a lot of fun relearning how to throw the ball. You get happy when you bowl your first 150. You didn't have that, where if you bowled a 150 in league, you were usually kicking something or buying another beer because you just downed your other one. Not you, me.
Right.
Free. And it was fun. I went to, Wagner's has that August that you can bowl for free. And I was bound and determined, because what did I finish that summer league with? A 129 average?
Or something thereabout, yeah.
Yeah, it was like 124, 129, something in that range, whatever it was. And I was like, I can be better than that. I wasn't even this bad when I picked up a ball right-handed. I can figure it out. And so I stayed at Wagner, and I bowled 6 games a day for 12 days straight, and really wore my shoulder out. It just didn't matter. I was going to figure it out. I was going to figure the timing out. I was going to figure the slide. I was going to figure how to run it up. Running second arrow, everybody has that joke on lefties, just run the second arrow. If you're a lefty and you have any spin, you can't just run second arrow. It's not broke down on that side as much. I can see why they're better, because I let some stuff go that I'm like, yeah, and then boom, there it is. And it's like, okay, it's the lefty stroke. It's nice. But I was bound and determined to learn. So, 6 games a day, 12 days. And then we started league, and I think I came in right away in the 170s, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Wags, I may have finished in the 170s. I think Tuesdays I had like a 150, high 150s, because I just could not get that shot. And maybe it was because it was us bowling Mondays and then me bowling again Tuesday. But and then Thursdays up in Menominee, I think I finished in the 190s. My first season.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun.
Your composite average from that season is listed at 181, which is outstanding.
For a first season?
For a first season.
Yeah. Opposite hand. So I'm okay with it. Now, I'm not urging that now, as you know.
Well, and we've both had a year off to sit and let our games deteriorate. But, like I said, if it's me, I don't know if I'm in there, 6 games a day, 12 straight days to try and, really get after it.
Not for sure, not in 2020. But it is my plan. I think I'm gonna only go 3 games a day. But I mean, you bowled with me a few times during that time frame, and if you remember, games 4, 5, and 6 were always better than 1, 2, and 3. Yep. So there's something about my body being a little more tired, which slows everything down, which then makes me bowl a little bit better. So that's the thing I'm going to try and figure out this year. This year, before we start league, I want to really slow my approach down, maybe shorten my slide a little bit, and focus more on more of a lower, more controlled release. So I'm working on a few things with it.
I don't think I'd be exaggerating to say that you turn it more left-handed than I do right-handed.
I think you'd be exaggerating.
No, I really don't.
I can do better. That's all I can say. I can do better. I don't feel like I'm turning it at all. I don't get, I always had a pinky tuck when I was right-handed. I had the pinky tuck, and I felt that was like, now I tuck the pinky and I throw it in the gutter. So every now and then I don't have the control that I need, but I definitely don't turn it as much as you do.
You're being humble, I'm telling you. I mean, you talked about the pandemic and having that year and a half, going without. What's it like to get back into it now? Not only having that obstacle of the year and a half off, but also being relatively new at bowling with your opposite hand.
Honestly, this summer has been like starting all over again. The approach is still there, but the release is not. The backswing is not. The arm speed is not, because I'm getting to the line and my arm is still too far back, sometimes too far forward. You'd like to say that it's like riding a bike, but I think you got to have more than one season in for it to be like riding a bike.
Sure. Yeah. Boy, if it's like riding a bike for me, it's a bike with 2 flat tires. I'll tell you that much.
You and me both, buddy.
Right. So, I talked about Phillips before, and I asked him to give me some quotes about you. And it's funny because he starts off with something like, oh, what happened to my finger, or something like that. And he moves on to, I don't care if it's my turn. I have to finish this video game. Accurate?
Yes. Listen.
And of course, I can only have 3 drinks.
It's a thing, okay? And you guys always being like, oh, well, just because you want to drink after bowling, Pfeff, doesn't mean I want to go home and spend time with my family. And you're there drinking. Come on, man.
But I mean, sometimes the Bucks are on, and
like tonight.
Yeah, like tonight. Tonight. So we got to kind of get this wrapped up pretty soon here. Sam did tell me, he said that he thinks you can break a 190 or 200 average or higher if you keep working at it. Do you believe him?
Yeah. I already broke 190 for one league, not for a composite, but I won't be happy until I'm over 2 again. It took a long time while I was younger to break that 2. And that is one of those things that it takes you a really long time to do. And then once you do it, you pretty much stay somewhere in that 2-0 range to the 198. But it's almost one of those things that once you pass it, it's easy to do and to maintain. So I'm hoping I get to that point. If I can do it in my second full league, that would be great. I wouldn't plan on it happening this year, but 190, between 190 and 200 is where I'm hoping to be by the end of this season.
Mike also hit you with, how many guys can roll 6 strikes and finish sub 200? And I don't think that matters if you're right-handed or left-handed, to tell you the truth.
Well, you know me, it was strike or nothing. I'm also a guy that can have 3 opens and go 240.
Yeah.
So it was those games, I roll 6 strikes and still finish at a 190. So it's how it goes. It's just they're not together, and I can't close the frame to save my life. I'm shooting 75% on my 7 pins though this season.
That's awesome.
So okay with that.
I don't even keep track of the 10 pins. I've missed so many. Sam also says that he misses the no rules pearl that he sold you, and that you better get a 300 with that.
I almost brought that last week, but I think I have to get it drilled. It didn't feel real comfortable. I don't know if, Sam's got smaller hands than I do. So it's, you know what they say. Hope he's watching too.
I don't want to ask.
I'll bring it out. Maybe I'll bring that one out. I'm not really digging my ball I'm throwing right now. And it could just be that I'm just out of practice, so that I don't have what it takes. So yeah, I got that downstairs. I'll bring it. I'll roll it. That'll make Sam happy.
Maybe. So while we're, bowling in those summer, in the summer leagues, and you're getting back into it, you start up kind of a vlog thing, and you put it on Instagram. That's not it.
That's not it.
That's just a picture of you from last week. Oh,
hey,
are you there? There you go. Yeah. See, this is tough to do all this stuff and talk and chew gum and all that at the same time. But
here,
what's that?
What are you trying to pull up?
I know. I've got some things. Oh, there we go. That's what I'm trying to pull up, like that.
Oh, you and me vlogging
on Instagram.
Yep.
Yeah. So back then you were EC Daddy Jimmy Lu, right?
Yep. It's a name my daughter gave me.
Okay.
My daughter Finley is now she's 14. She'll be 15 this month, but she was vlogging at that time, and she's like, "Dad, you should vlog. People will watch your vlog. You just go on there and talk. That's all you have to do." I'm like, it sounds stupid. So, and she called herself #Farley, and I was like, well, I need a name. So she's like, all right, we're gonna call you EC Daddy Jimmy Lu. So that's where the yo EC Jimmy Lu. That's where it came from.
Yeah.
You were not a very good vlog guest either. I wish people would watch that and see how you showed me your butt at the end of that video.
It's still up on Instagram, and the butt was fully clothed. Just so so we're clear.
Yep.
But yeah, that was kind of, I don't know if that was the first, adventure into something like that. And then you move on to TikTok.
TikTok was pandemic related.
Okay.
Different.
But you get into it. You are the.jim.lucas on TikTok. And look at these numbers. You have 6,800 people following you.
That's 68,000 actually.
Oh, 68,000. You're following 6,800.
Right.
68,000 are following you with 632,400 likes. Now, let me make something clear here. In that post on Facebook where I said thousands enjoy your videos, just because they follow you doesn't mean they enjoy.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Just because they bring it up doesn't mean they enjoy. So no. I figured I was, kind of hedging my bets there.
You did all right. Yeah, you did. I got lucky. My daughter wanted to do a video And we did the first one it's the first one on there, and it went for like, I don't know, 600,000 views, and it just kept going. And I was like, what the heck is this? And my older daughter, Darian, down in Racine, had done a video like a day or two earlier. And she called me, Dad, I'm going viral on TikTok. And she had surpassed 100,000 views, which that's what they consider viral on TikTok. And here I'm going up over 600,000 on that one. And subsequent videos that went 1.8 million views, 1.5 million views. I got really lucky and then got really lazy and stopped doing it.
Okay.
I think my last one was a couple, maybe 3 weeks ago.
All right. But it's only been 3 weeks. You could do it again, right?
Oh, I could just clip them out. I take little breaks here and there, and it's trying to keep up with that as a full-time job.
Well, I believe it.
I'm not very coordinated. And if you go and you check out and you watch any of those videos, there's a lot of work and sweat that goes into those beforehand. These moves don't just come naturally to me. It's like, listen, I make it look like an old white guy dancing. That's what I make it look like.
But obviously, like you said, people are watching, and that's great. And, if you want to see his catalog of old white guy dancing videos, or maybe he ends up making new content, it's the.jim.lucas on TikTok.
You'll do a TikTok with me, right, Andrew?
Sure. Yeah.
Perfect.
Will it be good? That's another question.
But will you on the ticky tack? Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. We'll do it We'll do it on Tuesday.
Oh, on Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah, figure one out.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. So that at the end of these episodes, we do something called Off the Sheet, which is you challenging somebody else. And again, skill level, throw that out the window. Somebody who's passionate about the sport and has a unique bowling story to tell, which we all do. So, Jim Lucas, who would you like to challenge to be a guest on a future episode of Bowling with the Fef?
Can I do two?
Sure.
Okay, my first one, and I've already talked about him, and the only reason I say that is it's Dean Day. He's the proprietor of Days Bowling in Wausau. Now, Dean, bowling for years, grew up bowling because his dad owned the lanes. Dean rolled a 300 right-handed, but then had I think it was his shoulder or his elbow, something was operated on. And then he was the first person in Wisconsin, if I remember it correctly, he was the first person in Wisconsin to roll a 300 both-handed. So he rolled one left-handed while his right shoulder was under construction. That's got to be a really good story. Plus, I'm sure Dean can give you some insight to what it took as a house to stay open through the pandemic. So I think he'd be a great guest.
Yeah, I agree. And Dean was, bowling 3 years in that house. What a great guy. Great to run into, great to compete against. I've got nothing but good things to say about Dean. So.
Yeah, I can't tell you the times that we had spent at the right at the front bar area at Back When Cafe, just sitting there, me, my wife, Dean, his wife, we're all just talking. He's one of those just genuinely great people that once you're around him, I don't think I've ever seen him mad even. He's a good, so he would be a good one. My second one, this one's going to be a little more difficult for you. When I started bowling when I was 17 years old, I bowled with a kid whose dad worked at Castle Lanes with me. His dad was a bartender while I was chasing pins, and his dad was in the Friday night league on one of the teams. And, me at 17, him at 15, we wanted to be like those guys, bowling, wearing the Zumbas in 1993, 94, being really cool. Throwing a whole bunch of hook and going, but he was left-handed. And I mean, he had the most unorthodox run up to the line, faster than mine.
Okay.
Just faster than mine, up to the line, threw it left-handed. Threw his first 300 at 15. He's got more 300s now than anybody I know personally. Well, and I haven't talked to him in 20 years, but Al Zeitz Jr., I think if you look him up, I think he held the record in the state of Wisconsin for a little while with was it 26 300s in one season?
I know he's got a ton of them, and I think you're right about that.
Yeah. It was a big record, and him still a house bowler. He's the Sam Lofquist of Castle Lanes, I'm sure. Only better. Yeah, Sam, I said it. Come at me. No, he's super good. Has been in the league, and I think to get some insight from a guy like that has been good for 25 years. He's the one. I think you got to get him on the show.
Yeah, I agree. Both great suggestions. Dean, Al, if you see this, let me know. You can DM me on Facebook, email me, bowlingwiththefef@yahoo.com, and we will get you set up on the schedule. Our next live stream, which we've got to talk about, Jim, is coming up this Thursday, and it's called The Commish.
Oh,
my microphone is still hot there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Clark is going to be on our show on Thursday, July 15th, 6 p.m. Central. And he is the PBA commissioner. PBA, of course, you may have seen the Strike Derby today. Andrew Anderson winning that one. And he's had a run of great tournaments if you've seen him on TV. He's going to be with us. So if you have questions about the Pro Bowlers tour or anything like that, that would be a great one to see live. Jim, do you watch the PBA on TV?
I don't.
What would it take to get you to watch it more? Because I'm sure the commissioner would love to know.
Actually, what I want to ask the commissioner is, why can't I tap my ball and then wipe it off anymore like I used to?
But that's USB-C.
Oh,
that's different. That's not PBA.
Yeah, different. Okay, let's see. What can he do to get me to watch more?
Mm-hmm.
A video comes to mind that I watched with you.
Oh, no.
And if we could make that a normal thing, I would be all right with it. And I think right now is a good time for you to transfer into that video.
Oh, gosh. I can't do that. A, it's copyrighted.
Oh.
And B, yeah, But I'll tell you what. Every time I saw somebody snowplow a strike on the Strike Derby today, it happened a few times.
Yeah.
All that kept running through my mind was Jersey squash, because that's what they called it on that show. It's an old IFC show, series called Documentary Now. I think it's called Any Given Saturday Afternoon or something like that. But maybe we'll have to ask his thoughts about that.
And let's get it at night. Let's get it into prime time. I guess Saturday mornings I'm doing a lot of things. Sunday mornings I'm doing a lot of stuff. It's Saturday mornings primarily I'm still at work. I still work 7 days a week. There's no way around that when you own a business. But it's maybe have it on during league bowling. Where people could have it. You're always searching for something on the TV. It's depending on the night you're bowling, and usually it'll be, and in the winter like that, of course, when a regular league, you're not going to find the basketball game, early in the season, but maybe put it on so that we can watch it while we're bowling. Be like our.
Yeah, that's interesting. So we'll see what the commissioner thinks. Tom Clark coming up Thursday, July 15th, 6 p.m. Central. Jim, thank you so much for your time being on the show. I got to get you out of here so you can see the Bucks dominate.
That's it. That's it. I'll be thinking about you Wednesday when I'm at the game.
There you go.
For having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. For Jim, this is Andrew Pfeffer. Be Justin, fear not. We'll see you next week.